Thank you all for joining me this evening. I'm your host, Simply C. I am back again, and in the studio I have Justin Zachary Powers. What a name, sir.
Yes, I'm sort of ahead of my time with my age range. Not many people my age are Justin, let alone Zachary.
All right. Well, it sets you apart from everybody else.
It helps.
Yes. So you are an actor, sir, and taking a look at your resume here, it looks like you've been in it for quite a while.
Well, I started a long time ago with a long gap. I made the money from acting and modeling, and then took that to become an audio and acoustic design engineer.
Oh, wow.
So then I parlayed that back into building recording studios, doing front house, touring systems, Broadway musicals, nightclubs in some cases, but mostly sound design. So I stopped that side of talent, went to the technical side.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. So what got you interested in acting in the first place and then kind of making the leap to more background?
I feel I sort of had a natural affinity like Tom from, what's the Tennessee Williams, the Menagerie, where he loved the movies, and I've always loved the movies and acting and writing in general too.
Okay. And now you've actually just been working on that writing endeavor as well. We were talking a little
I've worked
earlier.
on it all along the way. I finally went back and finished a degree at UMD this last semester in writing technical, professional, and creative.
All right. Wonderful. So where do you hope to go with that one now?
Freelance writing. I've got some bigger projects of trying to figure out how you make a living and then how you do the things that made you want to do it in the first place.
Right.
Killing that.
True enough. True enough. Life is about a balance, and we're all in it together. So what first got you bit with the whole acting bug? Was it high school theater or?
It was grade school on up. I mean, they recognized it in me early on.
Okay.
Doing things, but I never really pursued it strongly. In the beginning, I did more TV commercials, movies, that kind of thing, and didn't do I have a strong theatrical background, but it's in the technical side. I've done a lot of sound design for major musicals and some theatrical things. From Pump Boys, Dinettes, Harry Chapin, Lies and Legends, Jesus Christ Superstar, Beehive, Streetcar Named Desire, Diary of a Black Man, Harlem Suite, Music Man, and the 20th anniversary production of Hair at the Vic Theater.
All right, wonderful. And taking a look at your resume here, it looks like you've done quite a bit of work in Chicago. How does Chicago kind of compare to Duluth? Is there even a comparison?
There is no comparison.
Okay.
They're both on a lake. That's one thing, and that's made it sort of an easy transition. I've been living in New York, LA, and Chicago for 25 years and decided I needed urban detox.
Okay.
So it's either coming north to Canada, toward Canada, or back west. I was born in Oregon, to go back to that part of the country, and this part won out.
All right. Well, wonderful. I'm glad Duluth won your heart over.
It's an interesting place. It's a hard place to make a living, but it's has a lot of wonderful rewards to being here.
True enough. True enough. Let's talk about your time in LA and New York. Now, I know from my experience, at least, and from experience with the others around here, that New York and LA is like the place to go. It's the place to cut your teeth on, and
they are,
to
but
make
they're
it
very,
big.
very different. If you can live in, my opinion is, if you can live in New York, you can live in any English-speaking city.
Okay.
The next step is another language. LA is kind of weird because there is no city. It's a bunch of suburbs in search of a city.
Okay.
So there's all this meandering that goes on. New York is very concentrated, and the intensity is 24/7. It's insane. It will grind you down.
Oof. So was it hard to break into the scene in New York?
It was, but I was lucky. People recognized things in me and helped me. And having a network of friends, I got more drawn into the theater side when I was in New York.
Okay.
I first was taken there on a national talent search for a modeling agency, and then from there that was my foundation, and I started working on other things there. When I was in LA, most of the time I wasn't there. I was mostly on the road touring. A lot of that was doing front house engineer, if you know what that is. You go to a concert, there's the guy in the room with the big mounted gear that mixes the show that you hear when you're there, not on stage. So I did that for a long time. So that had me on the road a lot.
Okay. And who did you go out on tour with?
Sinatra, Genesis, Bowie, Def Leppard, Willie Nelson, Barbara Mandrell. It's a page and a half of artists. It's just some of it was fun, some of it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Tina Turner. Trying to think of her name. Anita Baker.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Jones. Just all kinds. I typically got myself away from the loud stuff.
Okay.
I was shocked to work. I worked for Chick Corea, and I was shocked at how loud he was.
Oh.
He was deaf.
Mm.
It was just painful to be around the sound pressure levels he had on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I got away from those. I protected my hearing.
Mm-hmm. Earplugs and all that.
Ear filters, not just plugs.
Sounds good. And now for those people out there that don't quite know the difference between front of house sound and stage sound.
Monitors.
Yeah.
Monitors you mix what the band is hearing during
Okay.
performance, in front of house is what the audience hears.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds good. So there are many different channels to putting together a good show.
Right. And I preferred that one. I did not like doing monitors. It was a thankless job.
Mm-hmm. True enough. True enough. I've done some coffee house mixing in my day. So.
Well, that's different if you're doing it live. At least live is a lot more creative. Monitors is the more invisible you are, the better. I really like making the live performance sound as good as the recording. That was my goal.
Yes. Yes.
So not to beat people to death, but have it clear and accessible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my goal too. When I can get it.
Yeah, usually you're fighting for containment with the band.
Mm-hmm. Yes, true enough. Some bands get pretty wild.
Yep, too loud for the room they're in.
I can agree with that one, yes. So do you have a favorite story of your kind of LA times, or a memorable one that comes to mind?
I think the most fun I had nothing to do with music. I became friends with some of the magicians.
Okay.
And the Magic Castle, and used to that was part of what I did that was fun. I'm not a magician. I had my friend Eugene Berger wanted to teach it to me, but it just wasn't. I wasn't about deceiving people. My goal in life was to get more authentic and truthful. So that did not appeal to me, to manipulate and trick people. But it was fun to watch them and see the things that they went through in perfecting their acts, but it's not what I wanted to do in the long run.
All right. True enough. True enough. So it seems kind of like you've bounced around but kind of kept with the theater kind of... Arts.
My business card even now says art in all things.
Oh, okay. All
so
right.
That's, everything, I think, has art to it, if you choose to. Otherwise, you can do a half-ass, slap-it-together job. But I prefer perfection and refinement.
Right. True enough. True enough. So let's jump back to New York for a little bit. So you were out there doing some modeling, a little bit of acting, it sounds like, as well. Kind of what is the hustle and the bustle and the kind of all-over feel in New York, I guess?
Oh, it's a grind. It's 24/7.
Really?
It's a matter of time before you're victimized by someone for something. It's just everyone's looking for an angle. You have to be very aware. The first week I was there, a woman got her finger cut off of her hand so they could get her ring off.
Oh.
So that was sort of shocking.
A little jarring.
Yeah,
yes.
that sort of set me up on the edge and made me pay more attention. So it was that kind of thing. It was it's just a much more of a grind, and it's much more expensive. The competition is insane. So you either have to have your act together or get it together pretty quickly.
Right, right. Let's talk a little bit about that kind of competition edge in New York and kind of the bigger cities. I know that Duluth and Superior has very, why am I drawing a blank on the word? Community sense.
Very much so.
Yes, yes. Did you find little pockets of that out in New York and L.A.? Or
there was
it...
one community I got involved in that helped me was I got hooked up with the Buddhists.
Oh, okay.
Nichiren Soshu. And they would do morning and evening Gonyo, and I learned that and understood it. But what eventually moved me away from it, it didn't make sense to me to be chanting and praying for a rent-controlled apartment or a car. And that's what most of them were doing.
Okay.
They were chanting for things. So that, there again, didn't set with my sense of sensibilities of more authentic and less materialistic. But they were, as a wonderful set of contexts, they were amazingly helpful in getting connected with the Broadway theater scene. So that helped a lot. And then it's just, in New York, contacts is really making connections really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Because when something goes wrong, then you have another option to try something else, or someone else can direct you to something. But you cannot be an island there. You have to be social, and you have to be as good a friend as you're wanting. And sometimes it takes a while to develop those friendships, but that's what really made New York, was the relationships.
Okay.
It was a little more scattered in LA just because of the distance and the traveling all the time.
Right. But then you get the sunshine versus the cloudiness.
You get that. You get all the beautiful people. It's a little different in LA because of all the tanning factor. LA seemed to be a more, what's the kinder way to say it? Shallow.
I was about to
path
ask
to
that.
it. New York is very much in your face and authentic. LA was very much about fronts.
Okay.
And veneers.
Doesn't sound like a place for me then.
Well, it is once you do not let that become who you are, and you seek out those that aren't that way. But that seemed to be overwhelmingly how it worked.
Right. And now that you're kind of up in the Duluth area, what do you see up here as like
what's
a really
beautiful
big sense?
recently is there's a real film community developing. So that's nice. In the last year, a little over a year, I've done 3 movies. I got to the final cut on 1 and didn't get it, but I got 3 of the 4 that I auditioned for. So that was part of me getting back into it and just getting the feel of it again, in case I get an opportunity to audition for something real. And this is just about getting my feet wet again and building relationships here. This can help prepare. If I were to move on to a larger urban center, then this would help prepare for that.
Oh, okay. All right.
But it's
good.
a wonderful group of people. I'm really, it's nice. It's there's a group called the Duluth Film Collective that meets at Zeitgeist. They also meet on Saturdays at a coffee shop. But these are all real people. I'm impressed with the group. Sometimes you get involved with groups. There's a percentage of them that are just killing time and taking up space. And there are others that actually do something. And then there are those that are actually working in the community and have a lot to share. So this is a really solid group of people. I'm impressed. And that's what made me take time and invest in it.
All right. Wonderful. So what was that group again? I'm sorry.
The Duluth Film Collective.
All right. Duluth Film Collective. They meet at Zeitgeist and a coffee shop on Saturdays.
Right. It's the Perks down by the Arby's there in that Arrowhead Strip Mall.
Yes.
8 o'clock, I believe.
All right. Wonderful. So if anyone's a budding filmmaker out there. And
you don't have
wants
to be a
make some
filmmaker. You
connections.
can be an actor. You can be a writer. You can be a crew person. Everybody's welcome.
All right. Wonderful. All right. So you made the jump from New York to LA, and now you're back up here rather, in Duluth.
I made the jump 25 years of bouncing back between New York, LA, and Chicago. The last place was Chicago, and then I came here from there. I came in 94.
Oh, okay. All right. So you've been up here a while then.
I have. I feel like I'm almost grandfathered in. It's almost hard to leave because I know where everything is now.
Oh, there you go. Yes, it took me a little while to know where everything was, too.
And the Twin Port part of it adds another dimension to that.
True enough. Yes. Hop across the bridge and then turn left, and
It's all spread all over the place.
True. All right. So let's jump into kind of the theater side of things. So you've always been into theater. That's always been kind of your niche. You've done on-stage work and off-stage work. I guess which one do you like more, or are they kind of equal
Both.
parts?
Theater is truer to acting because it has more continuity.
Okay.
Whereas you're doing a film thing, you never know what scene you're filming. So you really have to know how to break down a script and figure out how the flow is going to go in your performance in that script, and then figure out when to plug in what, where, so you don't end up surprised depending on how they stack the shooting. So that helps. A stage lets you get an opportunity to build a character and maintain it and refine it. Film is pretty quick. Some producers, directors do rehearsals, some don't. Some want to throw you out there and see what you do, and then they'll craft you. They want to see what you organically produce first.
Okay.
It varies. I like the challenge of, though, seeing a character and then building the backstory that isn't part of the script. I enjoy that part of it too.
Right. Okay. Do you have a memorable character that comes to mind? I'm making you think.
Well, one I just did recently was with Nick Hansen. Salatium is a movie, and it was a dirty cop.
Okay.
For some reason, I had a whole stretch of being a cop, the last several roles, so I don't know why that was, but it gave me a lot of range, and he gave me a lot of range. You had the basic script, but then he let you ad-lib off of it. So that often brings more life to it. Very few scripts are well-written.
Okay.
And not all of them let you respond organically how you would. Some do, some don't. Some you have to honor every word and get it the way it is. You just have to find out who you're working with, and if you can't do that, then you shouldn't take the job.
Okay, sounds good. So there has to be some type of wiggle room and
well, it helps,
ad-lib
but
creativity.
sometimes it's rigid, and then you have to live within the rigidity.
Right.
But you have to figure out how to get there. And part of it is getting the director to explain to you what they're really looking for. Some can't articulate very well. And some don't have any affinity or experience working with actors. They don't understand what they need. So sometimes there's a bit of a battle there.
Oh, okay. All right. So a battle of some creative minds.
Can be. I try not to let my ego get in. My first goal is to serve the director and give them what they need and want. And if I think there's something wrong with doing that, then I shouldn't be there in the first place. And that should come out either in the table reading or the just read through the script. You should know.
Okay. All right. So how do you prepare for a role? Does it take on a life of take on a life of its own?
It does. It evolves.
With you, or?
Part of it is learning to get it's like learning to sing a song. You learn the lyrics so you can forget them because they come out organically. You're not having to consciously. If you're thinking about what the words are supposed to be, then you're not acting. Because acting, if anything, is reacting. So you need to give that give and take between. And if you're doing a monologue or you're not having someone to generate off of, then you have to create that yourself.
Oh, okay.
So part of preparation is knowing what that is. Sometimes it's getting feedback from the person that you're in the scene with. And often what you'll find in filming is you have all these camera angles. You'll often do the same thing a couple of times from different angles. So it gives you a chance to get it. But you really have to sit down and, depending on how much, if you're a lead in a production, then you have a whole lot more words to learn. If you're a character actor, then you're kind of a finite thing, and it's a little bit easier to crawl inside that and remember it. But first, you have to learn the lines cold, and a lot of cold reading back and forth, and study, study, study. You do not want to go in there expecting that you're going to get to ad-lib. Some cases you will. One movie I went to shoot, the lead actress did not show up.
Oh, no.
We're supposed to have a give and take. And I came prepared. I do things where I break down scripts into what I call trigger phrases.
Okay.
I take out all the extraneous words and just the essence of what's going on, and I can look at that, and then I can respond organically to that. So I had someone sit where the actor should have been, and the camera over her shoulder, sitting there just holding up this piece of paper that had the trigger phrases, and that got us through the scene. So you have to ad-lib. You cannot... when it goes to hell, you have to do something different.
Right, right. And speaking of that, I've seen a couple performances by bigger names, let's say, and they cannot ad-lib at all.
No,
and
they're locked in.
Yeah, to me it was a little bit of a disappointment. Yes. And, I understand that they've got a set regiment of what they're going to do, but if you can't wiggle with that, then the show really does go... Go south.
It gets dragged down. The energy is crushed.
Definitely. Speaking from a musician standpoint, I love when musicians can work off the audience and they have that kind of play. Do you feel that you do that when you are in theater?
Sometimes, but sometimes you can acknowledge it, but you can respond to it. You can feed off the energy, but you can't. There are sometimes when you break, I think they call it the third wall.
Fourth wall.
Fourth wall?
Yep.
You break that, but not normally.
Right.
The other thing that makes you have to ad-lib is when something goes wrong, like the chair falls over or a big crash happens on the set. if you ignore it, then you're lying. So you have to acknowledge it and deal with it in the moment. And in theater, then it's gone, and the next night it'll be something different. But it's in film, you have a chance to do it over. So if it didn't work, your ad lib didn't work, then okay, you'll just do it again.
Right.
But live, you live and die live.
True enough. William Shakespeare, all the world is a stage.
And until it falls apart.
True enough. True enough. But then you still keep going.
Yeah. If you're going to make the most of it, you do. There are some that can and some can't. I try to live in the moment. That's one thing I've gotten in my general life that I've gotten from acting is living in the moment.
All right. Wonderful. So now, Justin, where do you hope to go with all of your experiences and what you've got going for you now? You're finishing up a business degree at UMD.
Right.
You've done some creative writing. You're looking at being a creative freelancer.
Right. I just graduated with a writing degree from UMD and finishing this business certificate. To work on freelance right now, I've got some bigger projects that I'm working on, but I'm also a musician and a lyricist, and part of what I'm building is I'm about to move to another location. I've got a room specific now to set up a recording studio again. I used to design recording studios, so that's something easy for me. But I'm about at the point where I have all the equipment I need. So moving into this new space, I'll get back to being creative in that front too.
All right, wonderful. And so where do you hope to go with kind of your recording space for more kind of local musicians?
No, I don't plan on becoming a commercial. I want to get back to songwriting and then also performing live again. So to build up a quiver of live music that I can play that will also be different and fresh. And then to also record it so I can sell it and make some money as I do that live stuff. But I want to hook up with other people that make me a better musician, for one. My strength is engineering, producing, and lyrics and melodies, but I need more help chordally.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I hope to get out of partnering.
All right. Sounds good. What's your main instrument?
Guitar and voice at this point. Percussion. I had an auto accident that scrambled my brain. I can't play keyboard anymore. It's weird. I tried to go back to UMD and take a semester in keyboards. It was worse than never having played. It was like a weird negative vacuum. I just could not relate to the keyboard. So I just had to let that go.
Well, you've got guitar and...
Yep. And it changed me guitar-wise. I was much more harmonic, melodic, but after coming out of the head injury, I'm much more percussive.
Okay.
If you know a guitarist named Michael Hedges, he's known for beating the hell out of his guitar. I've sort of adopted a little bit of that very percussive use of my guitar.
All right. Wonderful. Well, we'll have to have you back in with your guitar and instruments.
I'll spin once I get moved in the end of March, I will be then getting this set up and then get back to working on writing again.
All right. Wonderful. Well, Justin, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your thoughts and your acting experience. I learned a lot. I hope the audience did as well.
Well, I hope we cross paths again as audience and performer.
All right. Sounds good, Justin. Have a great day.
Thank you.